Hello, my name is Tia, also known as Costume Fiend, because I'm both evil and excessively fond of dressing up. At the time of me sharing this, it'll be about a week and a half since I've watched the Netflix superhero show Supacell, and I kind of want to talk about it, in part because shows like this don't always end up getting big fandoms. I mean, even really popular black shows don't always get the same internet attention as like a Succession or Game of Thrones type of thing. So even though mainstream superhero movies and shows aren't really hitting much for me lately, what I do like about Supercell, aside from the original characters, is that it feels like it's going back to the basics. People have compared it to Heroes and Misfits, and I agree that that's apt. We've got our time traveler slash teleporter, Michael. We've got a potentially powerful telekinetic Sabrina, the super fast, quick to heal Rodney, the super strong Andre, and the wild card who can turn invisible, Taser, whose real name is Tayo. Each of them are connected both by where they live and the fact that they all have relatives with sickle cell disease. According to the lore of the show, it would seem like having the sickle cell trait in the gene pool is directly correlated with who is getting powers. Now, even though sickle cell isn't a black only thing, because it seems to affect black people the most, it makes sense the all black cast such racial themes are really prevalent. Not that I personally need a show to give me any excuses as to why almost everyone is black, but it is neat that the show is also raising awareness of this disease. This sort of brings me to another thing I enjoy about the show, and that's that it also shows that the black experience abroad, particularly in South London, has many things in common with the black American experience. Despite the ongoing diaspora wars, the things we share are definitely numerous. One of the characters, Dion, who is sort of the center of the first season story, brings up how little care slash attention missing black people get compared to others. Sabrina's sister points out how unlikely it is for Sabrina to get a promotion despite her being amazing at her job. And for class reasons, we see how negatively Andre, Rodney, and Taser are impacted by the lack of opportunities. Each of these perspectives bring different things to the table and the story, which is why picking a favorite character is kind of tough. Michael is clearly set up as the team leader, and watching how much he loves his girlfriend and then fiance Dion was really refreshing to see. It was easy to empathize with the way the pressure of knowing so many things the other characters didn't eventually got to him. On the other hand, Sabrina is an older sister, and as one myself, I have a soft spot for any of the ones that are well written. I love how protective she is over her younger sister and how much pride she takes in her job. Plus, a lady with telekinesis in a superhero show is pretty much always a good time. It was fun seeing her get more confident and less afraid of what she could do as the season progressed. Honestly, given her acting and personality, it was actually always jarring to see how short she was compared to the guys because she sometimes comes across as like a taller person. Then, of course, we have the comic relief character of Rodney, which I feel is often the role speedsters end up playing, but just because it's been done before doesn't mean I don't enjoy seeing it again. That combined with a few moments where we get to see a deeper side of the character, particularly this scene with his mother, kind of broke me. It definitely puts him close to the top for that reason. Plus, putting on my shipping goggles for a moment, I could be way off base, but I think there's some potential for him and Sabrina, but that's another conversation. Moving on to Andre, even though I'm not a parent, I always appreciate when parent characters are shown trying to be an active part of their kid's life. Him having super strength kind of reminds me of the reasoning behind giving Mr. Incredible super strength. You know, the stereotypical role of the father to provide and protect. The conflict for Andre, of course, comes from the trouble he's having to do those things, in part because he has a criminal record, even though it's over something he didn't even do. But on the flip side, in contrast to his own son, who he's trying to keep on the straight and narrow, we kind of have Tayo slash Taser, who has been absolutely out here committing crimes. Taser seems to be the most divisive character, which is kind of funny to me because it feels like he's also the youngest of the group, despite that he's done the most heinous shit out of all of them. He actually discovers his abilities about a week before the other main characters discover theirs, and because this is evident in the pilot, I don't think it's a spoiler to say that we find out his mother, who he thinks has abandoned him, has superpowers as well. Also, unlike the others, Taser's powers don't seem to be activated by stress. Someone I had a kind of discussion with on Tumblr suggested that the reason Taser, in contrast to the others, tends to have trouble with his powers when the stakes are high is because the culture he takes part in is kind of about bravado mostly. So when he's fighting, he kind of actually wants to be seen deep down, which makes turning invisible harder. Um, and I kind of like that person's explanation. It makes a lot of sense. So even though the character makes many questionable and sometimes frustrating mistakes, I think we're given just enough to at least understand him, and the actor's definitely doing a great job. I really hope the show gets a season 2 so that we can explore all those things further and see how each character's power plays a part in who they are as people. Since I don't want to get heavy into spoilers, I think I'm going to wrap it up here. I know a few people have criticized the show for being a bit more slow and not extremely action heavy, but as someone who prefers character driven stories, and who knows that fast paced action can be really easy to find, I kind of like the more grounded approach, rather, Supercell takes. My cousin, who isn't really as big into superhero stuff, found the show to be more accessible for her because of that. So ultimately, I'd recommend it if those things appeal to you. If you have seen the show, feel free to share your favorite character or something you think the show does well. Otherwise, leave a like if you liked. Maybe subscribe for more nerdy rambling. And as always, have a good one.